Hello, and welcome to Love, Light, and Healing with Colette Lopane Capella. I am Colette Lopane Capella, a licensed mental health counselor, Reiki practitioner, EMDR therapist, and healer. I am founder and director of New Day Vitality, located in Larchmont, New York, where we provide a holistic alternative approach to psychotherapy and counseling, where we offer individual, couples, group, family therapy, as well as Reiki energy healing and EMDR therapy. I'm so excited to have the opportunity to bring this show to the public and the beautiful community of Larchmont and Mamaroneck. A little bit about me: I'm a wife, I'm a fur mommy, an entrepreneur, and a true healer at heart. I've been practicing for many years and have had the profound honor of being a part of so many beautiful journeys to wellness and helping individuals live and be the best versions of themselves, mind, body, and spirit. This show is to bring together the mind, body, and spirit through love and light, wellness, and healing. This show will be informative, helpful, and fun. So sit back and relax and enjoy all the beauty this show will offer you. Each episode, we will bring on an expert guest to discuss important different topics that bridge the mind, body, and spirit, and the beauty of when it's all tied in together. Experts will vary from energy healers, teachers, nurses, crystal healers, psychiatrists, doctors, therapists, psychologists, psychics, mediums, yogis, and all healers or light workers, as I like to call us. On today's episode, we have Dana Carretta Stein, licensed mental health counselor, EMDR certified therapist. Welcome, Dana. Thank you for being a part of the show. I'm excited and honored to have you a part of this amazing opportunity to wellness for all our viewers.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. So let's just jump right in.
Yeah, let's do it.
Dana's a lot of fun. This is going to be great, guys.
Good luck, everybody.
So first, I want you to tell the audience a little bit about who you are and what you do. Just a little bit about yourself.
So I'm a trauma therapist, so I focus on trauma-informed care in my practice. So I work with children, families, and adults. And what I do in my practice of psychotherapy is that I really look at the whole picture of what happened to somebody instead of what's wrong with them. So people come into my practice with anxiety or depression, and I really look at what's happened to them in their life where their symptoms developed in that way instead of their symptoms as like a problem with what they're struggling with.
Of course, perfect. And tell the audience a little bit about your career, your current experience, your past experience, and now currently a little bit about your practice.
Yeah, so I've been in private practice for, like 6 or 7 years now. Yeah, I think it's about 6 years. So I started Peaceful Living after my father passed away. So the name of my practice is called Peaceful Living Mental Health Counseling, which is named after my dad, who was Philip Lewis Carretta. So that's been 6 years now. Before that, I worked in public schools all around Westchester, kind of doing behavior consultation, helping teachers understand children's behaviors and helping train the staff. But I've been in private practice for 6 years now, and I love it. It's beautiful. I love the clients that I work with. It's awesome.
And you're amazing at what you do, and her office is absolutely gorgeous. And she really is an amazing
therapist. A little bit of
therapist.
a psycho interior decorator, too.
But it's beautiful. You walk in, and it's like peaceful and zen immediately.
It's funny. My clients come in, and they're like, what's new this week? I'm like, oh, yeah. They know like there's a new thing every week.
But it's beautiful. It really is such a beautiful space.
Thank
and you are such a beautiful person.
Oh, I love you.
Love you. So I know you often work with children.
Yeah.
Can you explore a little bit more with the audience psychotherapy and children and how that kind of works?
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why I've always worked really well with kids is because I never really grew up myself, so I'm still kind of 5 years old.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, so it's great. So like when I work with kids, I like to roll around on the floor with them and like be silly and play, and that's really the approach that I take to working with kids, is like the playfulness approach. Because, if a kid is being dragged into therapy against their will, having them like sit on a couch and be like, let's talk, it doesn't work.
Exactly.
So I really like encourage them to express themselves through play and through like expressive therapies like art or things like that. But the majority of what I really love to do when working with kids is I like to bring in the parents and do a lot of parenting work. Because at the end of the day, seeing me for an hour a week isn't really gonna help things, the whole picture.
Sure, of
really,
course.
it's helping them to get a really good relationship with their parents.
Yes.
Because a relationship in anyone's life, a relationship is the most important thing, the most healing thing.
Exactly.
So I really focus on improving the relationship between parent and child.
You know, it's interesting because that was my next question. Like, what type of approaches do you use with children? How much are parents involved?
Right.
So you kind of already answered that, but maybe to share a little bit more with the audience. Are parents in the sessions with the children? Okay.
Yeah, so there's like actually an approach called filial play therapy where you actually encourage the parents to play with the child, and there's the therapist in the room that's really kind of like helping explore. But a lot of what I do too is really like a lot of times parents will call if their child's having a difficult behavior.
Okay.
So I'll sit with the parents one-on-one without the child in the room because I don't want the child to feel like the identified patient.
Of course.
And I'll really help the parent to understand why their child is behaving in that way. Because all a behavior is a manifestation of what's going on the inside.
Exactly.
So really to help the parents understand what the child is feeling and then to mirror that back to them. So instead of like, Billy, you're screaming, go to your room, it's, Billy, you look angry. Like, and then the kid's gonna be like, yeah, like, oh my God. And
You're
that
acknowledging it, validating.
validation.
Yes.
Validation to me is everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so perfect. What would you like parents to know to better support their child in therapy? What kind of advice would you give a parent?
The best advice I can always give a parent is to remember that a kid is a kid, right? So a lot of times as adults, we put these adult expectations on like a 5-year-old because we forget what it was like to be little. So to really like understand that your child's a child and they're still learning, and to just encourage them to be creative and to explore. You don't have to rush things like homework, for example. It's like, just get it done.
Yeah.
Slow is okay. Like slow things down, encourage their creativity, and then life will just be beautiful.
Perfect. Oh my gosh. I love that answer. Let's talk a little bit more about a difficult topic.
Sure.
Children and bullying and
Yeah.
social media.
Yes.
What would you like to share about this really challenging topic? Because obviously now it's something that...
It's so out there.
Exactly.
It's so out there.
Yeah.
So I mean, I hate social media for that reason.
Exactly.
Because it's so easy to get at somebody without a parent even knowing. So my big advice to a parent is to always monitor your child's social media, really understand like what's going on, check their Facebook, their Instagram, check their video games, because a lot of times what parents don't realize is that these kids have these headsets on and they're talking to people and getting bullied, and that's not like a screen that you can look at and monitor.
Yeah.
So always check that too. Like the video games are a really big way kids are communicating now.
Yes.
So
I've heard that recently. There's one specific game that someone was talking about not that long ago.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. There's like Overwatch is so popular now, and that stupid one that I hate, Fortnite.
Yeah.
It's like so popular now, I can't stand it. I'm sure every parent will agree with me. But there's like things like PS4, for example. Like my nephew, he's 12. I love him. He's the cutest thing in the world. But he plays PS4, and he's like, the live where you can talk to people.
Yes.
And so God bless my sister-in-law. She's always on top of it and making sure that like she knows who he's talking to.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it. Yeah, like not only the bullying, but who is he speaking to?
Exactly.
Like who is on the other side?
Exactly.
Of that headset.
Right.
Wow.
And I think it's important too to let a child know, like, if they're getting bullied, that it's okay to speak up. Like, it doesn't make you a wimp or it doesn't make you a sissy to say, like, you know what, someone's speaking to me this way and I don't like it.
Yeah.
Because so many times now I work with adults who were bullied as kids and now have a lot of anxiety or a lot of depression and never made the connection that it started with that.
Of course.
So really like encouraging them that it's okay to talk about it.
You know, it's interesting. That's kind of, we think so like you. That was sort of my next question. Like, what safety precautions do you share for bullying with adolescents, parents, and guardians?
Right.
And I think that's probably a big part of it, right?
Absolutely.
It's just like to open up, talk about it, don't feel ashamed or
Communication
embarrassed.
is everything.
Yes.
It's the more we talk about stuff, the more we're able to heal. So that's where, like, even trauma therapy, we're just talking about something, giving airtime to a story creates healing.
Exactly.
So to speak up, to speak your truth, speak your voice, it's really powerful.
And you have a voice, exactly.
Yeah.
So talking about EMDR, can you tell, I know about EMDR, but I love the way you describe it. Can you tell the audience a little bit about EMDR, what EMDR is?
Yeah, absolutely. So I love EMDR. I'm such an EMDR nerd. I was trained by Karen Alter-Reed and Dr. Lisa Salvi, who are brilliant geniuses. I love them. So EMDR is really based on the principles of the Adaptive Information Processing Model, AIP model. So what that really means is that your brain has the ability to heal from a trauma very similarly in the way that our bodies heal from a cut or a wound. So we're really just helping the brain, give it like a little assistance so it can do its natural healing process. Because think, if you like cut your finger or something, you don't have to focus on and go heal, heal, heal. It does it naturally. So the brain does that as well. It just sometimes needs a little assistance. So trauma gets stored incorrectly in the brain. So you have your left hemisphere and your right hemisphere. When we have trauma, it's like the best way I can describe it is Dr. Richard, who trained me, my internship, I love her. I had a lot of great mentors in my life, where it's like somebody takes like glass or something and shatters it all over, and all these like little pieces of the memory get stored in fragments all around your brain. Whereas a non-trauma memory gets stored really nicely in the hippocampus, and it doesn't get activated in the day-to-day. So what EMDR does is since trauma gets stored in different parts of the brain, it activates the left-right hemisphere, brings the whole brain on board, and actually helps us process. And it helps us like pull on positive information that we might not have been aware of, which is keeping us stuck. And once we bring in positive information, we're actually able to process something, something to make us realize, oh, I'm safe now, I'm not in danger anymore. I
usually say that the memory or the situation is less emotionally charged through EMDR.
Yep, absolutely. Right? It takes a memory from being, because it's not a memory, right? It's a reliving. That's what PTSD is. And if it's a memory, it's like, oh, I had pancakes for breakfast yesterday. That's a memory. But when someone has PTSD, they're reliving it constantly. So it actually takes the reliving and makes it a memory without the associated thoughts, feelings, and sensations that get activated every day when you're living with it.
And what have you seen EMDR helps with particularly? So we know PTSD, trauma.
Yep, PTSD, trauma. I've seen it help with personality disorders. It works really well for borderline personality disorder, which really what we know is rooted in trauma. It works really well for panic attacks and for anxiety. So it really it was founded for PTSD. Francine Shapiro really like discovered it, and all the research first started out as PTSD, but now all current research is showing that it helps with panic attacks, depression, personality disorders,
OCD,
all of that.
Eating disorders.
All of that.
And how long typically is like your EMDR sessions? And for how long would somebody be seeing you for EMDR?
So it's always like a really tricky question. That's the most commonly asked question I get when someone calls for an appointment. So for single incident trauma, that's like, a car accident or a one-time thing that happens, it's like ballpark 8 to 12 sessions. Very rarely does that ever happen. Most of the time people come in for what seems like a single incident, but all the research shows 80% of people who have PTSD actually have earlier childhood trauma. Something as simple as like being invalidated. Emotional neglect doesn't show scars, but it has a lasting effect on our brain development. So we're more likely to develop PTSD from something like a car accident or a sexual assault when there's been a history of attachment wounds.
And it's funny, it's because the same thing happens with me when people call about EMDR or even like traditional talk therapy. They'll be like, how many sessions am I coming for? Or how often? So I usually say once a week we'll start off. If we get to a different place, we might do bi-weekly, but typically once a week. But they'll say, well, how many times in total?
It's so hard to ask.
Such a difficult question.
I always say, if I had a crystal ball.
That's what I say.
Yes,
right? So funny.
That's why we're so similar.
That's really weird.
So if I had a crystal ball, I would love to be able to predict how long this would take.
But everybody's unique. And
everyone heals at their own pace. It's a faster therapy. So like, psychoanalytic, people are in therapy for years. It's not that. So maybe you'll be in therapy for a year or two as opposed to 10 years. But everybody's different. My biggest, most important approach to therapy is the relationship. I believe that the therapeutic relationship is the single most important factor for change. So I really, in the very beginning, let's not even talk about EMDR, let's not talk about CBT, let's talk about how does this feel? Do you feel seen by me? Like, do I feel like I can help you? Make sure there's no transference issues, and to be really comfortable. Like, I'm lucky, I love every single one of my clients, like I'm so blessed. But if there's someone who I feel like I'm not going to be a good fit, I have to refer them out because it's not going to help them heal.
Exactly. Well, I think that's part of too because you're so thorough, right? I mean,
Right.
ultimately you want it to be, I always tell people it's like a puzzle piece.
Exactly.
So the first 3 sessions is kind of building on that puzzle piece.
Exactly.
Building that trust and that rapport.
Right.
Because you want your
Right.
client to feel confident and
Right.
comfortable meeting with you. And that's
Exactly.
one of the biggest pieces in therapy in itself.
Exactly.
Right.
Therapeutic relationship is so sacred. It's not like going to the doctor. It's you're telling this person intimate details of your life, what you're thinking, what you're feeling. And for a lot of people, feelings are something that they've learned to avoid.
Exactly.
So they're very vulnerable. Like, so having that relationship is so sacred.
Yes.
So that's the most important thing.
I agree with you. And why would someone, or why would you think, and I guess you could think about this either way, but why would someone choose EMDR over traditional like talk therapy? I know
Yeah.
you do both and I do
Right.
both, but what would be like a factor perhaps when you're doing a phone screening or initial consultation,
Yep.
or even when somebody comes to meet with you?
Right.
Who's a candidate for EMDR?
So I always say EMDR is perfect for someone who's tried therapy for years and years and years, or have tried CBT, have tried other things, and it's not working. So EMDR works great for people who are feeling stuck.
Yes.
It works beautifully when it comes to, like, CBT is great. I was trained in CBT. I love it. I use it a lot. But CBT is changing your thoughts to improve how you feel. For survivors of trauma, they know, right? They know what they're thinking, but they're stuck. It's like they have their foot on the gas pedal and the brake at the same time,
Yeah,
and
not going
And
anywhere.
they're not going anywhere. So it works really, really well for people who are feeling stuck and where other therapies have failed.
And do people, because this happens with me sometimes, do people just call sometimes just for EMDR?
Yeah, absolutely. So people will come in. I have a lot of people who come in just for EMDR. I do a lot of adjunct EMDR. So people who are actually in therapy with another therapist, they'll see me only for EMDR. And it's great because I'll have them sign a release so then I can speak with their therapist. So they're not spending a lot of their time in session like catching me up on what's happened in their sessions.
Yes.
The therapist will clue me in, and then we'll just do the EMDR. I can let the therapist know. I can share my notes or whatever, and then they
Working
start feeling better
collaboratively.
faster.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know, so I usually use the fingers or like
Yeah.
the tapping, but you have the, can you say the bar?
The light bar.
Yeah, can you
Yes.
talk a little bit about
Yeah.
that?
Oh, I love the light bar. It's so fun. I mean, I can't do this anymore because my shoulder was going to fall off.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's great. Like, it's this little thing where I put right in the table. I have my couch is here. Then I have a little like table in the front, and the light bar goes up. And then there's little Bluetooth buzzers. So they just hold one in each hand and they vibrate. I always tell my clients it feels kind of like a vibrating phone. And so, like, I like to use 2 modes of bilateral stimulation,
Okay.
BLS. So I use the tactile and the eye movements.
Okay.
So it's the little light bar. It's kind of just stands right in front, and it's kind of cute because you can like change the colors and all of that. So I tell
And
my
like
clients,
following the light bulb. Okay.
Yep. I'm like, do you want green? Do you want blue? Like, give them a little sense of control, and then they just follow the light. And then it's controlled by my phone.
Okay.
So it's just Bluetooth enabled. So I pause it after they do a set.
Okay.
And just ask them, what'd you notice? What came up?
on?
And then, okay, notice that. Turn it on again.
with
They're
that.
following. Yeah.
Perfect.
And it's great. Get one if you don't
I was
have
going to
it.
say I don't have one. I use
You
my
need
fingers.
one.
I have.
Yeah.
And well, I think we already know the answer to this question, but what is your favorite approach?
Oh, I love trauma therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, EMDR is beautiful. I think it's hard to say what my favorite is because my favorite is the relationship. Like, I genuinely love the people that I work with. Like, I learn more from them than they ever teach me. And no, I said that backwards. I learn more from them than I could teach them.
Exactly.
Yes, yeah. Little brain fart, it happens. Yeah. So they really teach me so much more. So just the whole trauma-informed care approach is my favorite because it's really like helping them heal on a holistic level
Yes.
where they're not feeling like an identified patient and we're getting a really good rapport, and then they're just feeling better, faster, not even, it happens all kind of subconsciously, come in next
Yes,
week and they're like,
organically.
oh, yeah, this isn't bothering me anymore. I didn't realize that. I'm like, huh. And my famous line is I'm always like, welcome to therapy.
Exactly. We got there. I had
Yes,
this
yeah.
client once who told me, actually, too, it was really funny. She's like, I think you planted a seed. And I didn't know that seed was planted, but it's growing, and I'm feeling good. And I don't know what you
Isn't
did,
that
Colette.
so beautiful? Because you're just being yourself. Like, you are like
Exactly.
such a beautiful person. I adore you.
thank
Like,
you. So are
just
you.
being you, like, helps somebody heal.
Yeah.
You just have that innate ability to be compassionate and loving.
Yes.
And that's Like
and
we're
I
brought into this
actually,
world.
I did this training. It was literally on rewiring the anxious brain.
Yes, I remember when you did that. Yes.
And they were
yeah.
saying one of the biggest components between a client being successful in therapy and not is just the compassion and empathy that the therapist shows towards them.
Absolutely.
So authentic, someone's going to feed off.
Because if you look at the developmental approach, there's an approach with EMDR of developmental trauma when there are no words, and that's Sandra Paulson, I think.
Yeah.
And she really, we're born with like all these affect circuits. So there's like the being seen circuit, the angry circuit, all of these circuits. So when that's like, let's say, not developed, the feeling seen, we can actually, like neuroplasticity, right? Experiences shape the brain and it continues to change no matter how old we get. So an unseen affect circuit that was underdeveloped can actually grow just from the therapeutic relationship. So literally relationships can change a brain.
So amazing.
So cool, isn't it?
It is so
I'm such a nerd. I could like do it all day long. Yeah.
So amazing. And I'm going to ask you a little bit more of a personal question now, but I think you got
I'm an open book, you know that.
You got this. What made you go into therapy? Because you are so passionate about what you do and just amazing. And so what made you go into this?
So it's always so funny when I get asked that. Because
Everybody asks that, right?
Because for a lot of therapists have like these great reasons of like, I struggled in my life with this and that. I literally just wanted to help people. Like, and I know that sounds cheesy, but I just really enjoy talking to people and like getting to the root of stuff. And I think like after like, my dad had a lot of trauma in his life. Like I have this on my website, so I'm not like, saying anything that no one already knows, but he lost his father when he was fairly young. It was before he got married to my mom. And then his firstborn child passed away. So that was really traumatic. And when he passed away from multiple sclerosis. But like my deep-seated belief is that a lot of it was his own anxiety. Right? So he had terrible, terrible, terrible anxiety, and it does affect your physical health.
Of course.
Right?
It's all connected.
It's all connected. The cortisol levels go up, then your immune system is lowered, and MS is autoimmune. Like it all makes sense.
Yes.
So I really wanted to like help other people get their entire life back, make sure that they like prevent these like really terrible diseases, like to live a long, happy, fulfilling life.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
You went in for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Exactly.
My dad always said life is for the living.
Yes.
So why not enjoy it?
Exactly. And be able to help and change people's lives.
Yeah. It's so fulfilling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What about, so you also do Reiki?
I do.
Okay,
Yes.
so tell the viewers a little bit about the Reiki.
Yeah, so Reiki is beautiful. I mean, I know like you've become my person to go to for this because like you're so great. Yeah. So Reiki is really just like tapping into the body's ability to heal, just like EMDR, the brain's ability to heal. So it's all about like being a clear channel of universal life force energy. So like as long as like we as practitioners take good care of ourselves, make sure we don't have any emotional things or any blocks, we can be a clear channel to help channel that universal energy through us to another person. And that's why it's so beautiful. I actually use it as part of the EMDR process. So phase 2 of EMDR is stress reduction techniques. We call it resourcing. So for some people, like they have a really hard time with like meditating or one of those calming skills. So I'll get them on the table and we'll actually like I'll do the Reiki and I'll ask them like, what are you noticing in your body now? I'm feeling calmer. And then I actually tap that in with slow bilateral as they're on the table.
That's so awesome.
So it's a beautiful way to actually help them access calm, which is what a huge part of EMDR.
Oh, that's so awesome. I love that. So this is my heavy duty question that I ask everyone.
Yes.
Towards the end. Yeah. So what is one piece of advice that you'd like to share with this generation?
I love that question.
It's a good question.
It's such a good question.
But it's a good question.
But it's good. My biggest advice that I would share with this generation is to always speak your truth. Never be afraid to say how you feel. Like fear is the antithesis of like everything. So to really speak your truth, but to also acknowledge how other people are feeling. Our world, we live in a left brain world, right? Like, so everything is logic, reasoning. So my husband and I joke all the time because I'm right brain and he's left brain. Together we make a nice pair. So like he's the real estate guy, everything's left. I'm emotions, right brain.
Yes.
So to always like encourage that right brain kind of matching with somebody. So if you're seeing somebody upset, match their right brain and be like, oh, I notice you're upset. And then you get that back and just talking about emotions, talking about feelings, it's okay. It's so okay.
Yeah. Because a lot of people, I think, have this fear, right?
Yeah, it's vulnerability.
Exactly.
Vulnerability and shame, right? Brene Brown, like
Yes.
that vulnerability and shame connection.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's so not. I mean, there's so much strength,
Right.
resilience. with,
Exactly.
like speaking your truth and your
Exactly.
feelings and your emotions.
It's just letting people know it's safe. It's
Yes.
safe to talk about how you feel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ugh, I love that.
Yeah.
So we're kind of getting towards the end here.
Oh, wow, that goes fast.
It goes really
Love
fast.
that. Yeah.
So I want to thank you for being a part of today's episode.
Please.
So much
Anytime.
fun,
Just
so
like hanging out with you,
informative.
so I'm
This is
good.
Perfect.
Right? Like,
And I am so grateful and honored to have you here. And thank you to our beautiful audience. We're privileged to have you a part of our show today. And I do this every single time. So until next time, love, light to all, and my
Namaste.
namaste. Thank you.
Thank you.